In recent years, a scam known as pig butchering has evolved from a romantic scam into an industrialized corporate transnational system. Victims are located on 5 continents. In recent months, the US and UK governments have launched the largest operation in history against scam groups operating in Southeast Asia. For example, on October 14th, the US Department of Justice seized approximately $15 billion worth of Bitcoin belonging to Chen Ji, a Cambodian fraud ringleader, and the British government also froze 19 of Chen Ji's properties in the UK. So what is a pig butchering scam? Essentially, a pig butchering scam is a trust economy fraud. Scammers first create a fake identity on social media and then establish a long-term emotional connection with their targets. They often spend weeks or even months gaining the target's trust by posing as a romantic or platonic friend. Then, they casually reveal their money-making projects and guide the target to participate in high-return investments. To lure the target into investing more money, the scammers initially let the target make money using small returns, to induce the victim to invest more funds until the victim is drained. The term pig butchering scam is slang because the victim is called a pig. Its most significant characteristic is its long-term nature, akin to fattening a pig before slaughter. Furthermore, the fraud group divides this method into 4 very insulting names, as explained by the blogger below. The headquarters of pig butchering scam organizations gathered in Southeast Asia is called Doghouse. They call their victims pigs, searching for victims as finding pigs, dating as raising pigs, fraud as butchering pigs, and dividing the spoils as eating pigs. These 4 stages correspond to Doghouse's 4 groups: the information supply group, the script group, the technical group, and the money laundering group. The information supply group is responsible for purchasing or stealing victim information from various dating and marriage platforms, then assigning the data to different script groups based on the victim's characteristics. These dating platforms are called pig pens, including Jiayuan.com, BuyHer.com, Weibo, and Facebook. Doghouse's most popular victims fall into 3 categories: single women over 27, homosexuals, and frustrated men wanting women. These 3 types of people are most easily blinded by love. The key is they should have money to swindle. After receiving a task, the script team assigns 1 or more dog pushers, users who manipulate online chatter based on the victim's situation. These dog pushers, also known as farmers, butchers, or keyboard warriors, are responsible for feeding the pigs daily with sweet talk. The first thing these dog pushers do after receiving their assignment is to create a persona based on the pig's preferences, a process known as account nurturing. They typically portray themselves as a perfect lover, gentle, wealthy, and positive. Their names are fake, their photos are fake, and their villas, luxury cars, Fortune 500 executive status, and painful love stories are all fabricated. After creating the persona, the main event begins, pig nurturing. This process usually takes no more than a month. They use an 80-page pig slaughtering guide and pig slaughtering secrets to ensure each pig falls in love with them quickly. This strategy and guide, dubbed Pig Feed, is packed with details to create a sense of realism. According to the script, they feed the pig at fixed times each day. The Pig Feed is the chat software they use. They are romantic, considerate, gentle, affectionate, and humorous, making you feel like a princess showered with love and affection every time you chat. At this point, the scammers know exactly how much you have. Once you fall in love and lower your guard, you've been a fat pig. Then the butcher enters its cruelest phase, the slaughter. They use many techniques to transition from romance to money, each carefully crafted. They talk about shopping, stock market trends, and dreams, but most ultimately aim to find a side hustle to earn some extra cash. Only once you take the first step, there's no going back. Winning money breeds a greedy desire to win more, while losing money fuels a delusion of recouping your losses. You start to believe that the world isn't about hard working leading to high returns, but rather about making huge profits with minimal investment. If you've won once, you're sure to win again until you're incredibly wealthy. Don't fantasize about resisting temptation. Once you've tried taking the elevator, you'll never choose the stairs again. On one hand, it's about putting in 10 parts of effort for 1 part reward. On the other, it's about putting in 1 part effort for 10 parts reward. Which do you choose? After you emptied your and your parents' savings, maxed out your credit cards, and even accumulated a mountain of high-interest loans, the scammers will disappear. Many people seeing this scene might think, who would fall for such a low-level scam online? However, the reality will be terrifying. Leaving aside the amount of money scam groups have caused victims in Asian countries, in the United States alone, according to the Federal Trade Commission, in 2024, victims reported losses exceeding $3.5 billion. Victims range in age from 20 to 60, with over half falling victim to scams in romantic relationships. The reason so many people fall for these scams is that the fraudsters perfectly exploit human nature. Trust is the foundation of fraud, love is the tool used to manipulate victims, and greed is the final catalyst. Pig butchering scams are a complete industry chain with a clear division of labor. Before committing the scam, they do extensive research. They gather information about the victim's work, family, assets, hobbies, and more through social media. Then they meticulously craft a convincing and detailed persona, a perfect script that includes videos, photos, and text message language. The blogger Shen was once scammed and later joined an anti-fraud team. Let's hear what she has to say. Recently, I obtained internal materials from a fraud ring. These training materials focus on reviewing real victim cases. For example, a woman was scammed out of a large sum of money in a fake company stock investment project. The scammers targeted her in a group and added her on October 8, 2024. However, the scammers were very patient. They waited until the woman returned from a trip, using a road trip as a starting point to begin chatting with her. The fraud ring had already obtained very detailed information about this woman beforehand, knowing she was living in Northeast China, had her own business, knew her past investment history, and even knew her menstrual cycle. The summary and review document for this woman alone is several hundred megabytes in size. Every key chat and relationship building point is recorded and analyzed in detail, with one section emphasized as a key point. Listen to the following training recording from a fraud group. One of the most important elements in creating a sense of authenticity for customers is storytelling. The more vivid your story, the higher the customer's trust will be. What does vividness mean? It means adding your own emotional color to the story. A story without emotional color is someone else's story. While telling the story and introducing yourself, you should also lay the groundwork for your personality. Why is a well-developed, detailed persona so important? Because scammers need to use personas to trigger the psychological mechanism of projection. Projection makes us unconsciously connect the scammer's story with our own personal experiences and emotional needs, thus creating resonance. Resonance makes us identify with, trust, and like that person. So, what specific techniques do scammers use to lure their pigs? Watch this video, Pig Butchering Scam Chat Scripts. If someone treats you like this, it's really hard not to be tempted. This is the chat script I've compiled for you all regarding pig butchering scams. Lately, everyone's performance hasn't been very good, so today I'm giving you a training session, so please listen carefully. First, at 7:30 a.m., remember to send her the first text message, "Baby, wake up." After sending the message, remember to order her takeout and deliver it to her doorstep quickly. Then at 8 a.m. the second message, "Honey, remember to eat breakfast. I've left the congee with preserved egg and lean pork at the door." At 10:30 a.m. the third message, "Baby, take a rest. Remember to put in your eye drops." Okay everyone, did you remember? At noon, everyone should send the fourth message on time. "Baby, obediently send me your food. I need to check if you've eaten any vegetables." Remember to interact with her at this time. At 1:30 p.m., send the fifth message on time. "Baby, close your eyes quickly. It's time for a nap." At 4 p.m., 2 hours before she gets off work, we should get her to agree to the voice message after she gets off work. Send her a message, "Baby, you'll be off work in an hour. Remember to send a voice message." At 6 p.m. sharp, here's the important part. Send her, "Baby, look, I made money on my investments today." Sending this message at this time is laying the groundwork for future financial exploitation. At 8 p.m. sharp, send the ninth message. "Honey, remember to put on a face mask and drink milk." Make sure she puts on a face mask. At 10 p.m., send the 10th message, making sure she goes to sleep. "My sweetie, it's time for your beauty sleep." Did everyone remember this? Our main target audiences are stay-at-home moms and single mothers who often feel lonely and isolated after being single for a long time. This sales pitch will easily win them over. Keep it up. Let's look at another real-life example. A college graduate who considered herself highly intelligent and well-educated couldn't imagine she would be trapped in a carefully orchestrated scheme. Guess who I am, a college graduate after all those years of education. Could someone with my IQ be fooled? What methods would scammers use to trick me, right? I'm puzzled myself. With my intelligence, scammers would treat me like a monkey, leading me step by step into a trap. Let me tell you about my experience. On a social media app, I usually browse to find money-making opportunities. A profile picture of someone named Shanshan or Chuan suddenly popped up. It showed a 99% compatibility score. My heart was pounding. Wasn't this my destined Prince Charming? So I couldn't resist clicking on his profile picture. His cover photo showed a disciplined and handsome man, and his daily life posts were so stylish. Then we started chatting every day. He was warmer than any other online friend. He said good morning, good afternoon, and good night in voice messages almost without fail. Wow, such a successful person cared about me so much. At that moment, I felt like I had truly found love. I thought that if he was busy, I would visit him at his company. Unexpectedly, he told me that I could learn from him how to invest some money, earn a little, and improve my quality of life. Without hesitation, I invested my money. After making a small profit, I was truly overjoyed. Instead of pressuring me to invest more, he continued sharing his daily work in life. I felt he was the perfect match for my ideal partner. He was my soulmate. Investing with him was a great opportunity to get closer. Gradually, I invested more and more. When I wanted to withdraw my money, the platform said I needed to pay a deposit, which had to be transferred to a personal account. Strange, it was clearly a USD transaction. Later, the more I thought about it, the more suspicious it seemed, but since I had already invested a considerable amount, I borrowed money to pay the deposit, thinking I couldn't let my previous investments go to waste. Many victims of this scam share the same mentality as mine. I have to get my money back. Paying the deposit is just a way to withdraw the money. I never imagined it would be a bottomless pit. Every telecom scam repeatedly tricks you into transferring money designed to make us unwilling to accept our invested funds have simply vanished. At that time, I completely lost my judgment, clinging to the delusion that I could get my money back. It wasn't until those calls went unanswered that I finally realized it was all a trap set for me, a carefully orchestrated cage from which I couldn't escape.
自己在被安排好的猪笼里无法自拔。
This kind of scam, executed like a slaughterhouse, is extremely harmful. It not only damages money but also shatters the victim's spirit and worldview. Many people lose all their savings, plunging into a nightmare of debt, breaking off relationships with family, losing trust in everyone, and even choosing to end their lives. Psychologists point out that the emotional betrayal trauma caused by such cases is far more difficult to recover from than the financial loss itself. The blogger Chu Yi below is a victim. The incident is over, but she still finds it hard to let go. This is a true story. Here's what happened. I met a very enthusiastic guy on a social networking site. This is his profile information. We started chatting that night. He seemed polite and talkative, always agreeing with me. He appeared very talkative and confident. We chatted on and off for quite a while, and I lowered my guard by about 10%. Then I said, "How about we add each other on WeChat?" This was his reply. The next day, he started proactively greeting me, showing concern in his tone, and began showing off his wealth. Although I didn't completely believe him, I was caught up in the atmosphere and persona he created for me. The first night we met, he sent me a goodnight message, followed by a photo of his muscles. I admit I was a little tempted. Then, one day after work, he told me about a business opportunity he'd encountered that could make money and asked me to invest 5,000 RMB. He showed me that he'd already made money and had withdrawn 50,000 RMB to his bank account. Looking at that chat interface, to be honest, I was quite tempted, especially since I'd only been working for less than 6 months after graduation, and my salary at the time was only 4,000 RMB. On October 28th, he said he was going hiking, and then he disappeared. I was very anxious. I went through all his Weibo posts, all the posts he followed, and every piece of information I could find on his Weibo. Then I found another Weibo account where he had shared a video after he disappeared. Honestly, you have no idea how worried I was after he disappeared. I thought he'd had an accident while hiking or something life-threatening had happened. I even called every company in Zhuhai that might have him working, asking if they knew his name. I still shudder to think about it now. I'm sharing this experience to warn others my age or those who are naive, inexperienced, and prone to trusting men, the so-called love-struck, not to trust a man who asks you to spend even a penny. Finally, I want to say that after experiencing a pig butchering scam, being cheated out of money, emotions, and even sex, blaming the victim is useless. Making sarcastic remarks is even worse. Your words are like an invisible knife, an invisible form of secondary violence against the victim, because being scammed is incredibly painful. The feeling of being utterly foolish and not knowing how to cope with others' reactions and attitudes. Sharing so much about my interactions with the scammer, so many genuine feelings. It's truly painful, and thinking about it still makes me very sad. Finally, let's dig into the background of the pig butchering scam. Pig butchering and telecom fraud began around 2016 and proliferated in mainland China in 2017 and 2018. Afterwards, scammers began moving overseas to countries like Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. In short, Southeast Asian countries became the main hubs for pig butchering scams. The bosses behind these operations are all Chinese. These fraudulent companies range in size from several hundred to dozens of employees. A single company might have dozens of floors with 5 to 6 offices per floor. Armed security guards stand watch 24 hours a day at the dormitories and company entrances. Sometimes 2,000 or 3,000 scammers eat together in a single canteen. These scammers are actually victims themselves. Every year, tens of thousands of young people from all over the world are lured to these places. Upon entry, their passports are immediately confiscated and they are forced to commit fraud. Those who resist are detained, and those who fail to meet their fraud targets are beaten or even sold to other operations. These young people range from junior high school to undergraduate. There are over 100 different methods used in pig butchering scams, each targeting different groups of people. So, how can you avoid being scammed? There's only one way. Don't believe in get-rich-quick schemes or pie-in-the-sky schemes. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.